All right.
Oh man, Fusion fam, what's up?
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen?
Man, we can't even say guest with this guy anymore. He's family at this point.
Family, yes, sir.
Please introduce yourself to the people, fam.
What's up, everybody? I'm Patrick Hickey Jr. I am the editor-in-chief and owner of Legacy Comics. I'm also the editor-in-chief of ReviewFix.com. I'm also a senior writer at Old School Gamer Magazine. I am the creator of such comic book series as Condry, Kroom, The Job, Brooklyn Bleeds, Midland Beach, Turkey Ninjas, The Nest. I am also a voice actor. You may know me from Renfield, Bring Your Own Blood, Wrestle Quest, The Padre, BPM Boy, and Five Nights at Freddys. And I've written 7 books on video game history. Yeah, I'm a nerd. What's up, guys?
And you're not just a nerd, you're an accomplished nerd at that.
I try.
And if you guys don't know who we are, I'm Chad.
And I'm Jeremy.
And together, this podcast, this tag team, this collective, these Comic Con conquerors, gaming gods, wrestling phenoms.
Oh my God's a list.
We are Fusion
High.
Yeah.
Get back to us.
Yeah.
Shoot, yeah. My God, it's been a while, sir.
It's been a long time. I've been good. It's been a busy year. 2024 was Legacy's best year yet. Like we started at the end of 2021, so it's just like our trajectory has been like that. And so far, 2025 has been really solid. We've been doing a lot of really cool stuff so far, and the voice acting stuff really took off last year, so I'm really excited about that. Got another game I'm doing lead voiceover on coming out like any day now, so I'm excited for that. So lots of cool stuff.
Okay, man. So Five Nights at Freddys, how did that come about? So before you get into it, my youngest daughter and my son, they were into it. I remember when the movie came out, I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna watch this. I don't think I'm gonna like it. And I watched it, and I'm not gonna lie, I fell in love. Then I saw that you had something to do with it, with like the games. So I'm like, okay, now I'm a little on board now. So tell us how you got into it.
It's crazy the way it happened. So it's just like Wrestle Quest, you guys know, came out in August of 2023. And I did over 65 voices for that game. So the Guinness World Record for most voices in a game is like 32. And I've done over 65 voices for Wrestle Quest. It hasn't been authenticated yet by Guinness. We've reached out to them several times. But I know that I've done the most voices in a single game, one person.
Flag, bro.
Yeah, I've emailed them several times. I know Megacat Studios has reached out to them and stuff too. And it's just like, it's this big, like, bureaucratic nonsense and stuff. But it's like, whatever. Guinness is great. I would love the recognition, but I know what I did on Wrestle Quest. I did a ton of voices: Macho Man Randy Savage, Mean Gene Okerlund, the Road Warriors, a ton of NPCs. Luna Vachon I did in the game, like that guy right there, the Luchador. I did him in there. So it's just like that. I had so much fun doing Wrestle Quest, and then in the middle of the Wrestle Quest cycle, so that game was in development for like 4 years, and I was on the team for probably like 2.5 to 3 of those years. So towards the end of the development cycle, they're like, oh, they're going to do a Renfield game. And they asked me if I wanted to do voices on that. And I'm like, sure. And I ended up doing all the male voices on Renfield Bring Your Own Blood, including Dracula, like Nicolas Cage's Dracula, Renfield, all the voices, all the grunts, everything. I'm like credited as like the VO vamp on the game. Right after that, like in the middle of the Renfield cycle, they're like, one of the producers for Five Nights at Freddys messages me, and they're like, oh, we want you to audition for Jeff, who runs like the pizzeria in Five Nights at Freddys Into the Pit. And there was probably like 10 or 15 lines, and I was just like, oh my God, this is great. I get to do VO in Five Nights at Freddys. And then somewhere along the lines, it just went to, do you want to be the PA announcer in the game? Meaning, like, every time you walk into like Five Nights at Freddys, it's like, welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, where magic comes to life. They're like, do you want to do that? I'm like, sure. Then it was just like, do you want to be phone guy? And then I was just like, whoa. So like, if you guys don't know, phone guy is essentially like the narrator of all of the games.
What I'm about to say. You're playing like the most important character.
Yeah. And Scott Cawthon, the creator of Five Nights at Freddys, he's done phone guy in like all of the games. And he retired basically from doing the voice, and when they asked me, I was like, oh my god, I did so much research. I listened to like every line he had ever done, and it's like I wanted to try and sound as much like him, but then to try and put like my own spin on it. So I did. I auditioned, and then I was just like, let's go, and I got it.
Cool.
And it's been wild. Like, did New York Comic Con, saw Markiplier playing the game and making fun of me, like how he does to every phone guy, every. So, it's like I've signed easily like over 100 pops since like October. It's been like so much fun. I get pops sent to my home now.
What?
It's so much fun. I've been doing raffles on Facebook with people. I had somebody from the Netherlands message me for their daughter's birthday. They sent me a Funko to sign, and it's been so much fun. And it just came from just doing good work on a consistent basis for a long period of time. That's basically like the way it happened.
Oh my god, man. You sound incredibly busy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, the voice acting stuff is just like the tip of the iceberg, because it's just like we have so much new stuff from Legacy. I literally just got this delivered to me today. We got a new cover for Brooklyn Bleeds. I love this cover. It's pretty badass.
I like that.
Yeah, I love it too. It came out great. And then a couple of months ago, we released
so nice.
what's it called? Minds Behind the Games, Red Dead Revolver. So it's basically it's the story, the development story of Red Dead Revolver, but in comic book form. It's awesome.
Nice.
So like we've been just producing Condry. We've got like 3 new issues of The Job coming this year. I finally found the right artist today. Actually, I just signed him today. You guys are the first people that are finding this out. I found the right artist to do Kroom. So we're gonna have Kroom #1 is finally gonna happen, and I have a great artist, Danny Givens, on it. So we just have tons and tons of new stuff coming. So it's been a crazy year. So it's just like, if my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer in February of 2024, and I ended up writing a hockey book last year, and just producing more than I've ever produced, like ever. Wow. And this year, like, I'm on the same exact pace, and she's getting better now. She's finished chemo. She had cancer surgery at the end of January. So it's just like, can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah.
It's been nuts.
How do you have that drive, man? Just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, especially with what you just said, like about your wife and your family. Because the last time we talked to you, we talked about how important family was to you. Right. So I know, that is a very trying time in your life, going through that, not just for you, but your entire family. Yeah. So like Jay said, how do you still have that drive?
It's like real talk. That's you guys know I like to have fun and joke around and stuff like that, but it's like real talk. It's like when you're watching your wife lose her hair, and lose weight, and go to chemo every week, and your kids kind of go and like, what's happening to mommy? It's like somebody has to be like The Rock, no pun intended. Like Dwayne Johnson would have looked at me last year and been like, yo, bro, you're like the real Rock. And I'd be like, I know. I wasn't in Mummy Returns, but I wasn't in Scorpion King, but it's like you have to step up. It's like, I remember in like April, while I'm going through all of this stuff and just fighting, I'm revamping the journalism program in the college that I teach at, because if you guys don't know, I'm a full-time college professor, and we're adding 7 new classes to the program, and I designed all these classes and stuff. Like, I'm literally like burning the candle at every end. And then in like April, somebody comes over to me at work, and they're like, how come you've never written a real book? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, video game books, blah, blah, blah. So then just like, I go home and I tell my wife, I'm like, I'm so like pissed. Like, what's wrong with these people? And she's like, then write a book that's not about video games. So I was like, you know what? And that's how I wrote my hockey book, Aces Over Brooklyn, which is based off of like all the reporting that I did on this minor league hockey team in like 2009. So it's just like I resurrected all of this old content that I had, and I had like the owner of the team bought it, and like all the players that I haven't seen in like 10, 15 years, they all bought the book and stuff. And it's just like, it was really fun for me to write a sports book, because I was a sports writer for so long. But it was just like, that taught me that like, even when like life is like literally, pardon my French, like just beating the living shit out of you, that like people aren't gonna stop with like their pettiness and just stupid nonsense. So it's just like you have to be like your own motivation, your own light. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna kick as much ass as I possibly can, and I'm gonna just like try and show my daughter that there is like no giving up in our family, that there is no stoppage to the fight, that we hit first, that we hit hard, that we sweep the leg, like the whole 9 yards, and it's been to be honest, it's been rewarding. In spite of everything that's happened, it's just like I could look at myself and be like, you know what, when times were like the hardest for myself, I didn't stop. So that's like my motivation, like just like looking at my kids and them knowing that, like, you know what, daddy's never gonna stop. Like as long as daddy's mind works, like daddy's just gonna be like pumping along like as hard as he possibly can all the time.
Hell yeah.
That's something to be very proud of, man.
Thank you.
You're definitely an inspiration out here, man.
Yeah, you are definitely.
So Red Dead Revolver, you basically you took an excerpt from your book and you turned it into a comic.
Yeah.
What's another thing you would like to do that with, even if you haven't written it yet?
It's so funny. It's so funny that you said that, because it's just like when I announced this one, the Red Dead Revolver book, I had artists hitting me up left and right. They're like, "You want to do a Mortal Kombat book? You want to do a Tekken book? You want to do a Pac-Man World book? You want to do a Twisted Metal book?" Like all this stuff, because they know that I've interviewed the developers of all of these books, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to do it. Except, obviously, like if this don't sell, we don't get to another one. Like that's the truth of like the comic book industry, and like I try and explain to people, like because I do consulting too, and I have like young comic book writers and artists. They come to the Hickey Man Cave, and I had somebody 2 weeks ago and they showed me their stuff and it looked really cool. You guys would love him. He's super talented. Andrew Busso is his name. Super talented young guy.
Okay.
And his book looked very like Star Wars, like space opera in the desert kind of thing going on. And I was just like, my first question was, how many followers you have on social media?
Dang.
Because it's like, you could have the greatest idea in the world, and if you're not doing podcasts, good ones like Fusion Ha, then nobody knows who you are, So it's just like I would love to do a Twisted Metal comic like this. I would love to do a Tekken 3 version of this. I would love to do a Mortal Kombat or a Mortal Kombat 3, because I have interviews with Jeff Peters and John Tobias and stuff like that. I would love to do a Mortal Kombat book. But the bottom line is, like, if the first one don't sell, then like I'm running Legacy by myself. I letter all of the books, I market all of the books, I write like 90% of the books. So it's just like if we have a dud, luckily, the way the business structure is set up, it doesn't kill us. But it's just like if I have like 5 or 6 duds in a row, then I'm gonna kind of be like, crap. Like, what do I got to do? So I have to be super careful, like what I publish and like when I publish it and things like that. So, to answer your question, yes, I definitely want to do more. But it's just like Red Dead Revolver has an awesome story. If you guys don't know, it was originally a Capcom game. And
I know that.
No,
yes, and Capcom had no idea what it was for like years, and it was customary in the early 90s and early 2000s. Oh, I feel so old just saying that.
You're not alone, brother.
My daughter before was just like, "Oh, Marky Mark is old music." I'm like, "Man, go to bed. Go to bed." Like, feel it, feel the vibration. And she's like, "No, that's old." I'm like, "Come on. It's Marky Mark."
Relax.
Yeah, come on, kid.
don't talk to me that way,
there, kid.
But
come on.
It was
I
like
left the Y2K. You won't talk to me that
Right.
way.
absolutely. Like I still have I have NFL 2K5 and the PS2 over there. Like I play it all the time.
God.
But it was customary for video game developers to have video game publishing companies, like other ones, come to the office and check out their stuff. So it's like it wasn't unheard of for like Capcom to be over Rockstar's offices checking out their stuff.
Wow.
Because that's what they just did. They had like these playful banters back and forth and stuff like that. And what happened was the Rockstar team saw Red Dead and was like, yo, what is this? So Capcom was basically like, oh, we'll give it to you for like $1 if you give us the Japanese publishing rights to Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City. So if you see a Japanese copy of Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto Vice City, they have a Capcom logo on them. And that's because even though it's a Rockstar game, it was published in Japan by Capcom.
Did not know that.
Don't you think Capcom would be in a much different situation today if they had Red Dead Revolver and Red Dead Redemption?
Yeah. Because Capcom, they had what's the name of that game? Dead Rising, which is, as far as being an open world game, similar to Red Dead. But if they would have had Red Dead on their hands, Red Dead changed the game.
And Red Dead was such a different game under Capcom. They had no idea like what they were doing with it. It was just
I'm so eager to know. I want to know what it was like under Capcom. Like I wonder if it was.
It's all in here.
I'm gonna get that because I need to figure that out.
Yeah, bro.
Like we had so much fun doing this because it's just like we like some of these pages are so badass. Like
you got a Gundam.
Oh wow.
Where they're talking about how
too much.
Where they're talking about how like they were using like a Street Fighter, parts of the Street Fighter engine in Red Dead, and how it made no sense, and that how they borrowed from a certain game. I wonder what game they could have borrowed from.
God.
When they were finding the aiming mechanics, the developers were like, how do we make this game more fun to play? And then they were playing Halo, and they were like, oh my God, if we take a little bit of Halo and blah, blah, blah. So it's just like this, Joshua Adams absolutely crushed it. So what ended up happening was I interviewed Dominic Craig, who was the lead developer of the game, and like, oh guys, the art in this is banger.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Look at that. And he tells us how he broke into gaming and then how he joined the team, and he takes you through the whole transferal of power from Capcom to Rockstar, and the Revolver's first E3 and how that went, and how the game just dramatically changed in the span of like 2 years. This is probably like one of the best single issue comics that I've ever written. It definitely has the most writing. And it's kind of like, I wouldn't even say that it's an excerpt from the minds behind shooter games, because that's where this chapter originally appears. It's basically like the greatest hits of that chapter. So I took out like all of the fluff and everything else in there, and I just made it easily digestible and super fun. And as you guys could see, the art from Joshua Adams is like off the chain. This is the variant cover too, so we actually have another cover. It's in there, I can't get it, but we have a few different covers. We have a really sexy digital exclusive cover too by Valentin Quinones. So like I'm trying super hard to like, I have like people that like my video game books, then I have people that like my voice acting, then I have people that know me as a professor, and it's just like I'm trying to bring all of those people in and be like, this guy actually writes comic books too. So it's just like it's super hard to just bring all those people together, you know. But this is my first attempt at and this is Brandon Bentfield's cover. I love this cover. This is like one of my first attempts at like combining my love of video games and comic books in a similar space.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's wow.
Are you gonna write a book about that though, man? Because what you just told us, I'm like, bro, he could write a book about it, man.
What about the Red Dead stuff?
Hell yeah.
It's in the minds behind shooter games.
Yeah.
It's like a 20-page chapter. And it's just like, so that this is the thing that's
I'm about to get this book, man.
This is the thing. It's just like and I hate to say this because I love gamers, and it's like I have literally like 7,000 games behind me. Like there's a TurboGrafx 16 there, there's a Commodore 64, there's an Atari there's a Sega Master System there, there's an unopened Nintendo Lab there, PS2. Like I have tons and tons of stuff, but it's just like when you go to a gamer and you're like, hold on, I'll show you guys. When you go to a gamer, I've written a book on video games. Okay? Yeah. And you go like this. And they're like, yo, there's not a lot of pictures in this book.
Oh, God.
I hate to say it like that, but they'll go, yo, listen, there's a lot of words in there. And I'm like, yeah.
Like, it's a book.
It's a
like they want
not a picture book.
But they want a coffee table experience kind of thing, you know? And I get it. I get it. It's cool. And there's a lot of great authors out there that do stuff like that. But it's not me. I like to get like really in depth and write like as in-depth stuff as possible. So this was like my way of like saying, okay, you guys wanted something different. I'm going to give you all the cool geeky information, but I'm going to present it in a way that's a little bit more visually appealing to you. So like me, like when I walk into the library and I see the beautiful librarian that has glasses on, I accept her for her glasses and I want to speak with her and I want to get to know her. A lot of guys just want to go to the beach and see a girl in a bikini. So that's what that is. You know, like that's, you know, at the end of the day. So it's just like I've kind of catered to both audiences as much as possible. So if this does good, then the floodgates are completely open because like I said, we're talking Tekken 3, Twisted Metal, I mean, I've interviewed so many people in video game history that like the floodgates would be wide open. I could do anything that I wanted for the next book in the series.
Okay, so I want to get to your other comics first.
Sure,
but I have to ask because the last time I interviewed you, I did not ask this question. It's been eating me up. Have you ever considered doing like an audio book for the books that you have?
What for the Minds Behind the Games? Yeah, I would love to. So the thing is, when I spoke to McFarlane, my publisher, about it, they don't do it. So they were like, "Oh, well, if you wanted to take it upon yourself to do it, you could do it." And they would like basically inherit the license to me. So like this way, there would be like no copyright infringement and stuff like that. It's definitely something that I would want to do. It just takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
you know. So and I would want to be the person that would do it.
Of course, yeah, that's the best way. All the audio books that I listen to, that's when I feel like I really connect with the book. I feel like the author put their time and effort into writing it, so they put their time and effort into voicing it. I feel a connection, and I love it. So I think it's better.
At some point, I definitely would do it. It's just like I said. Now it's like I'm running a publishing company completely by myself.
Yeah, you're a little busy, huh?
Yeah. You know?
That's an understatement. Yeah, a little busy. You a lot of busy, sir.
Yeah, man, it's wild. But yeah, it's definitely something that's like on my radar. Absolutely.
Okay, so what are some of the other comics you have coming out under Legacy that you're really excited about?
So we have the next issue of The Job coming this summer.
Ooh.
It's The Job number 3. We had like 2 like side stories in The Job last year. We had Job: The Birth of a Heel, which is kind of like the story of the guy that Dan's gonna eventually face for the title. So that was fun. Then we had The Job When Bev Met Dan, which was a lot of fun, which is how Beverly and Dan became an item, how they met, and how she found out that he robs banks and stuff like that. And that was a lot of fun. But then I ended up having a conversation with Steve Conjay, who was the artist on The Job 1 and 2. And he's working on a bunch of other books right now for his publishing company. And he's working on an untitled, unreleased thing for us, for Legacy, that I can't talk about yet.
Ooh.
But I was just like, when do you think we're going to get to The Job 3? And he's like, I'm trying, blah, blah, blah. And I love Steve's work. And Steve is like one of my closest friends in comics. And he's like a super close friend, like away from the business. But then Joshua Adams, the guy that did the art for Red Dead, and for Midland Beach Turkey Ninjas, was like, I'm free until August. I don't have anything to do. Wow. So what do you want me to do? And I was just like, let's do The Job. And he's just like, really? And because the thing is, the first thing when I signed Josh, the first thing he did was send me a picture of Dan. And he made Dan look like the main character in Splatterhouse, basically, like just all hulked out and stuff. And I was just like, yeah, he don't look like that. I was like, but that looks badass. So then Josh lettered The Job number 1, and he's fully aware of like the plot and where it's all going. So I was just like, would you be comfortable doing The Job 3? And he's like, yeah. So we've got The Job 3. Then we've got a spin-off in The Job coming. It's called The Job Booker Man, and it's about the booker of the promotion that Dan works in, like how he got into wrestling. And the booker is basically like, he looks like a combination of Oswald Cobblepot and Donald Trump.
Oh God. What
You
a
know?
combo. Jesus.
That's a combo.
Yeah, and he's just like you just see him sitting back at his thing, and he's like got a belly, and his hair is combed over and stuff. He's like your typical like indie wrestling booker, you know.
I see it. I see
But
I
he's
see what you mean.
And
but
those
he's
are
badass.
Yeah, I see it now. Holy
So we have
moly.
those coming. Like I said, we just released a new cover of Brooklyn Bleeds by Mike LeMay.
I love that.
And then
Yeah,
we have a new Condry story coming out, Condry Prayer for the Dying, which is at the printer right now. It's going to be out in like 2 weeks, and that's probably like one of the best like ash cans I've ever written. I'm super proud of it. We got Phil Maeza did the interiors on it, and it looks freaking amazing. That's going to be really good. So our main series at Legacy are Condry, The Job, Brooklyn Bleeds, and we have all new stuff for that coming out. But also, like I told you guys, I haven't announced this anywhere else yet, but we have finally issue 1 of Kroom coming. So that was like I wrote, if you guys don't know, Kroom was a video game that I wrote the story for that was in like development hell. We just finished like the first level of it, and then it just kind of like died, but I really believed in the story. So it's kind of like Legend of Zelda meets like Ninja Gaiden, like with like some space elements in it. It's super fun. And we finally got an artist for it, and that's going to probably be coming out at the end of the year. So I probably have like 6 or 7 single issue comics coming out like by the end of the year that I'm super happy for.
Okay. Hey, so when do you sleep? Like, is that something you do, or
No?
like you're not into that? It sounds
Man,
like
it's so funny. It's like this morning. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and my son finds a way to like sneak in my bed like every night. And it's like I never kick him out because he's 4. He's like mega cuddly. He just like comes right in here, and I'm just like whatever. He's like my little bum, but he's in the bed next to me, and I hear like walking outside my room, and my wife is in the bed with us. So I'm like, it's got to be my daughter, and my daughter is like the spitting image of me. So if you guys don't know, she wrote her own comic last year called My Brother and the Ladybug. It's our number 2 best-selling comic. Single issue comic. She hustles, and she never sleeps either, and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm just like, oh my god, what is this girl doing? And then I hear my wife like get out of bed, and she like checks on her and stuff, and she goes back in the bed, and then like I fell back asleep. I wake up at like 8 o'clock, and she comes back in, and she's so adorable. She's like 4'10". She's like 8 years old. She comes in, she's like, mommy, daddy, I cleaned up the whole house. And I made breakfast and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And I'm just like, it's like 7:45, 8 o'clock on a Saturday.
Oh my gosh.
Like, she's just like, she's awesome. But it's just like, she goes, because I know when daddy wakes up, like, I'm like military. I wake up, all the beds need to be made. The dog needs to be fed. Like, everyone needs breakfast. Like, we need to like get going and get like on the right page. Like, I'm showered by like, 8:30 in the morning. Like, let's go. Let's get stuff done. And, to see my daughter at like 8 kind of have a little bit of that just makes me feel really good. So like, yeah, I usually go to bed like midnight, wake up at like 6, and then the days that I teach, I usually walk for about 2.5 hours before I go to work to get my steps in, listen to like a good podcast and stuff like that. Just like, get the blood flowing and stuff like that. So it's just like, yeah, I don't sleep a lot. It's like that episode of Rick and Morty. You guys remember that episode of Rick and Morty when they're like, "Oh, we don't sleep," and then Rick is like, "What do you need sleep for?" Like,
oh yeah, when they all start going crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's how I feel about sleep.
They got the sleep versions of themselves, the ones that sleep and the ones that don't. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
So, yeah, not a lot of sleep. I tell my students all the time. They're like, "Oh, what do you attribute your success to?" I'm like, being up an extra 3 or 4 hours a day will do wonders for you. And especially when you're like my age, when you're 41, and then you can look back on like 25 years of being up 4 extra hours a day. Yeah, you can get some shit done.
Yeah.
That and coffee.
That and coffee.
Like
yes. I love my Dunkin', but I drink decaf now. So that's the thing. Oh, I always thought the coffee was like part of the reason why I was always like, so I've been drinking decaf for like 6 months, and I'm still like just as wired as I ever was.
So you have the natural energy.
Oh, okay. You're badass. That's how you say it.
I try.
I was like the taste of coffee.
Yeah, I love the taste of coffee. Like when that
man,
Dunkin' hits, you're just like,
oh man, the endorphins kick in. That's what it sounds like.
It's like a dopamine drop.
Dopamine. There it is.
Woo.
He's like Thanos when he collects one of the Infinity Stones. She's like,
Yeah,
Absolutely. Hell yeah. It's the truth. It's the truth, man. Like a good cup of coffee.
Yeah, it does hit right. You right, because
Mhm.
I go to Buc-ee's on the way to work, and like they went up on the price on a what was it, like a large? It used to be like $1.74 or some shit like that. Now it's like $2.05 or $2.04. Then like I found out the extra large only was like what $2.10 or $2.15 or some shit. I'm like, why does don't get the extra large?
Yep. Why not? Absolutely.
Yeah. So hold on, Patrick. You know I love you, man, but I'm not gonna lie. I got some beef with you.
Uh-oh.
We got beef.
What the hell?
I
What
know.
happened?
So
What
I got beef, man. So the last podcast we had, we were talking. We were just started. We went on a little tangent. We were talking about video games, and
Oh yeah, now I know
ET
what you're
happened to come up, and you were like,
Oh god.
I was talking about how bad it was. You like, it's not that bad of a game.
What game?
ET.
ET.
Oh, it's not. It's not. And let me explain why.
You hold on. You hold on. So we did a podcast a couple of weeks ago. We were talking about like the worst video games that like are in existence. So we talked about some of the video games that we played that we didn't like. Then we went and played video games that people just rate that are really bad. And we played ET. If I didn't love my TV,
I love your face. I love
so
your
much,
face.
I would have nuked this entire house. That game is so bad. Like, what's wrong with ET's neck? Why do I keep getting thrown in holes? I'm like, I feel like you're walking in the game and you're like the points are going down. So like, am I getting my steps? Like when it's over, like do I win because I got the most steps? Like, what's the point of this game? And then when we were playing, I was like, I can't wait to talk to Patrick.
Oh yeah.
So we'll put it this way. We'll put it this way. It's like nothing you said is factually incorrect. You're completely right. Everything you said is completely true. But now this is what you have to think of. Okay. And this is like the way I look at video games. So it's much different than the way the average person looks at video games. So that game needed to sell like over 5 million copies to basically be a success, considering how much money Atari pumped into that game. Only one game in like Atari 2600 history has ever sold like over 5 million copies. And it's Pitfall, you know? So when the game was announced and they spent all that money to get the license from Spielberg and stuff like that, it's like imagine somebody telling you that you're the developer of a game that has this much like bluster and this much fanfare. It's like, okay, great. But you're going to do it by yourself. And you've got like less than a month and a half to do it.
Oh god.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
So the thing is, it's just like not only did I speak to Howard Scott Warshaw, who developed the game, but I spoke to developers that worked at Atari at the same time, and they said that like Howard Scott Warshaw worked for 20 hours a day for like 6 months, not 6 months, 6 weeks to make that game.
Oh.
Yes. So the thing is, we have to judge it based on how long it was in development, how many people were working on. So now this is the thing. When I play ET, you know what I see?
What did you see?
I see like Toe Jam and Earl version 1.
I'm not mad at that.
I see an open world exploration game that revolves around like collecting items,
right,
and fulfilling tasks. Same thing Toe Jam and Earl is. Toe Jam and Earl is like one of the most beloved cult classics of all time. That it sold over 1 million copies. It spawned all of these successful Kickstarter games and like games on several different consoles and stuff like that. But the thing is, we're talking what the Sega Genesis was able to do.
Yeah.
The Atari 2600 was not. So the thing is, play Donkey Kong, play oh my god, what's the name of the game that Gary Kitchen did? It's the cop game. Shit, I forgot the name of the game, but play any like pseudo platform game. Play Donkey Kong, play Mario Brothers on the Atari 2600. Even play Spider-Man on the 2600.
Okay.
Judge those games based on like what they were trying to do.
Okay.
Not based on what they actually did do. So the thing is, it's just like most of these games that I've mentioned were not very great games at all. But the thing is, the Atari 2600, think of it this way too. Pretty much all the developers on the 2600 were memorizing the assembly language in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just like if you go to Howard Scott Warshaw, what's the assembly language in the game? He could give you like 41 lines of code.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Pre JavaScript, and it's just like I remember talking to David Crane, the creator of Pitfall once, and he was telling me he was talking with Steve Cartwright, who did the Phoenix port on the Atari 2600. Phoenix is an awesome shooter, even on the 2600. It's better in the arcades, but it's great on the 2600. And David Crane said to Steve Cartwright, "Don't you think it's cool?" And this is like 1981, 1982. Don't you 1981, 1980, 1981. Don't you think it's really cool that there's probably only like 25 people in the entire world that can do what we do?
Wow.
There wasn't a lot of video game developers out there. So the thing is, like, Howard Scott Warshaw could have been working for the government. Like, he could have been doing the guy was like a rock star. So think of it this way. He did 3 games for the Atari 2600. He did Yar's Revenge, he did E.T., and he did the Indiana Jones game. Okay. And he did A-Team also, but it got canceled. It never got released. All 3 games that he did on the Atari 2600 sold over 1 million copies. So you can love him, you can hate him, but the guy made money. And listen, E.T. did not kill the video game industry. Atari was making subpar arcade ports for like 3 or 4 years. We're talking Pac-Man. We're talking there's a whole bunch of games on the Atari 2600 that people like, I would rather go to the arcade. And that's what happened. People were like, all these games that are coming out on the 2600 aren't nearly as good as the arcade version. So they're like, we're just going to go back to the arcade. But E.T. is not a great game. It's not. It's absolutely not. But the thing is, this was an open world exploration game made at a time where they did not exist, on a system that could absolutely not withhold the vision that Howard Scott Warshaw had. So I completely agree with you that it's not a good game. But the thing is, its heart was in the right place. It sold millions of copies, and it laid the groundwork for other people who were just as pissed off as you to go, you know what? This sucks. I'm going to make something better. And by the time the tools were better, they could actually do something that's better. So this is the thing too. In this comic, Dominic Craig talks about one of the first games he ever bought, okay? Like with his own money. And he talks about buying Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy.
Oh, wow.
And he talks about how awful it was.
Oh.
And how pissed off he was because it was nothing like the Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, or the arcade version. So he brought it back to the store, and he ended up getting The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, which absolutely transformed his life and made him want to be a game designer.
That's great. That's crazy.
So the thing is,
a great game.
Yeah. So the thing is, I guarantee you just as many people have been affected by E.T. being bad as people have been affected by great games. So that's what it's so easy and it's so fun to be like, E.T.'s the worst game of all time. And it's just like, that's like a cop out. For me, it's just like, let's have a conversation about it. Let's know who the person is that made it. And like, this is the thing. E.T. could have been like the best game ever on the Atari 2600. And the video game industry was not in a spot in 1982 where any Atari game was selling anywhere near what that game needed to sell to break even.
Yeah.
Howard Scott Warshaw was put in a no-win situation.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. And Atari had to learn. And they did, because I mean, listen, a lot, if you don't know, Tengen, all those games on NES, those Tengen games, we're talking Shinobi, RBI Baseball, Gauntlet, you got Cyber Bowl. Atari had a string of massive hits in the arcade, innovative Skate or Die, innovative games that like totally regenerated like their image for home consoles and for the arcade. And then a lot of those guys left Atari and they went and helped found EA Sports. And some of those EA Sports guys went and they helped build DMG, which eventually became Rockstar. And one of those guys too, Howard Scott Warshaw, leaves Atari, is out of the video game industry for quite some time. He goes back to Midway and plays a big role in Blitz's revival. So it's just like all of these guys like have had this huge impact on gaming. And it's just like so many gamers will be like, ET sucks, end of conversation. And I'll go, okay, let's put ET under the microscope. Let's look at its DNA. And at the end of the day, ET did a lot more good for video games than it ever did bad. So,
and you know what? I agree with you, especially based on this conversation.
Hell yeah.
Because I'm not a person that's like, this game ruined. Like, no, it's just a bad game. Like, I just played it. Because I remember my godmother had an Atari and had that game, but I was a child, man. I didn't know any better. Like, it was like, ooh, video game sounds and stuff. But grown-up Chad played this game a couple weekends ago. It was like, what is this? What happened? Oh, my God. But no, man, the way you broke that down, that's a beautiful way of looking at it. We just did a wrestling episode today. We were talking about like the state of wrestling, things that are going on. Yeah. And I was reading something that someone said, basically said everyone is taking wrestling too seriously. You're basically stripping the magic of it, and you're just trying to overanalyze everything. Sometimes just sit back and relax and enjoy what we're being presented. And it's kind of the same thing like you were just saying with ET and video games. Like, cool. Yeah, it's cool to just talk about a game, say it's trash, but sometimes you just gotta enjoy what you got and look at
and really look at it. Like, just kind of like, okay, this is cool, that's cool, like the little nooks and crannies and stuff like that. And like you said, Patrick, man, they only had like a month and a half to do it.
A month and a half is crazy for a video game.
Yeah, even now.
Like, dude, when that came out or some shit like that. So just imagine like how limited they were in technology then. Like that was 82. What the hell?
One of the big problems in entertainment and in content creation now is that like everyone's looking for viral moments to say something that is going to get them hundreds of thousands of followers, instead of saying, why don't I go on a ton of podcasts and consistently say smart things and play the long game and build a legacy for myself as someone trusted and someone knowledgeable about what I'm talking about, instead of just saying E.T. is the worst game of all time. Thanks. Congratulations. You want a cookie? So it's just like, and it's like I have conversations like this with my students all the time about politics, about people, about music, about comic books, about wrestling, about video games, obviously. And it's just like, it's one of the things that I love to do. So thank you for letting me talk about ET. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
You might have just saved this game, man. we're gonna have to clip this up so the world can see.
My thing is too, next time you play ET, if you ever play it again,
we can
just play it and walk around and be like, son of a bitch was right. It does feel a tiny bit like Toe Jam. When Toe Jam and Earl are just walking around back and forth.
Jam and Earl. I would have never put those two together. So I don't even have to play it again. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that because I never want to play it again. But you're right.
But you know how you can enjoy it? You could play ET on mute and then with Toe Jam and Earl's music.
That's funny.
Like, that'd be awesome.
I love the soundtrack for Toe Jam and Earl too.
Hell yeah.
Dang, that's so crazy. Game. I never thought of that being like an ET, like the spawn.
Catalyst.
Yeah, the catalyst, the spawn of Toe Jam and Earl. That's crazy. Wow.
How poetic. You are so poetic with that. Close up. Get that close up.
Oh my gosh, this guy is great.
Hey, so have you been keeping up with wrestling lately?
Of course.
AEW or WWE.
All I'm gonna say is that like I'm excited for the Cena heel turn.
Oh yeah.
Everybody though was just like, and this is what I'm talking about with viral moments.
Right.
We're just like, it's one of the greatest heel turns of all time, and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, listen, we don't know that yet. So for like WWE.com to be like it's the second greatest heel turn of all time, the greatest part of Hulk Hogan's heel turn was that he stayed a heel for like a good 3 years and then ended up drawing consistent money against Sting, Piper, Luger. They brought in Dennis Rodman, Karl Malone, Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Hogan's heel turn generated just as much money as his babyface run. You know, if you take like Hogan's 3 best years as a babyface in WWE and his 3 best years as a heel in WCW, the money is very similar. I'm telling you, there's no doubt. Sellouts all over the place. So the thing is, how do we put Cena's heel turn in the same exact category when he's not on TV nearly as much and he's only going to have like another like 8 months of this?
I would say you can say maybe most impactful. I don't know about best of all time yet.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, because
it's gonna be fun.
because one, it's not over, but the impact that it's had, and I guess now we can see the entire world's view on this versus back then. Like, it was just, hey, WCW in America, this is what happened. We all feel like this here. But now you can see the worldwide effect of him turning heel. I mean, they were just in Spain, Italy.
No, that was Spain when he was.
That was Spain. Spain. That was Spain. And you saw how he wrecked that kid's life.
Oh,
and that's in a whole different part of the world that we're. Back then, we weren't accustomed to seeing, but now we can see everything. So I would say maybe more impactful just because we can see it all.
Yeah.
But I can't say the best. And I'm not even a Hogan fan like that, but I'm kind of more inclined to maybe side with him because it's over. Now, if Cena was doing it, like you said, for multiple years, then we could talk.
Yeah. But also, WWE, they be writing their own history anyway. So that's why they said that. Like, oh, this is the second best heel turn ever in wrestling.
See, my thing too is like when Hogan turned heel, he was able to look into the camera and say, "All you fans can stick it, brother." And the thing is, it's just like Cena's promo was a little rambly on Monday, and it got really good when he got like Willy Wonka, and it was like you get blah, blah, blah. And my whole thing is like I thought it was a huge misfire to have Cody come in right after and then call him like a whiny little bitch, and it was just like that needed to be Cena's turn to just like really shed like that baby face skin and having Cody come in that fast, because the thing is with the NWO and with Hogan, no one interrupted a Hogan promo like that during the NWO era, like in the beginning, or like late 96, summer of 96, early 97, nobody did that. And the thing is, it's just like they're trying to make Cody like the new Cena, basically. And to have him come out and just be like, yeah, everything you just said, really cool, but you're a whiny little bitch and I don't want this John Cena, blah, blah, blah. It's just like, I feel like it took away some of the lesser, it's just basically like, you're hanging out with your homegirl at the bar and she's got a couple of drinks in her and the music's pumping and you're having a good time. And then her best friend comes and goes, "You've drank a little bit too much. You're acting like a fool." And you're like, oh, what are you talking about? She's good. Just chill with that. Go take a walk, go somewhere, blah, blah, blah. And that's what
cock block.
Like Cody was like the fun police on Monday. Like he was just like, "Oh, I whiny little bitch. I'm the champion." But it's like we know we like that should have been a separate promo. I'm still excited for it. I really think no one sees it yet, but I really think by the end of this year, Karrion Kross is going to be somebody worth keeping an eye on. The seeds are being laid.
I absolutely agree with you. I think Karrion Kross is so underrated. It's crazy.
And you're going to see Karrion and Cody at some point. I think that'll be really good. But I definitely think Cena beats Cody at WrestleMania. And then I think we see CM Punk and Cena for the last match. And I think Punk wins. And then you see Punk and Cody and stuff like that. And it's going to be by SummerSlam. You're going to see like Punk and Cena probably. And then probably Survivor Series, you see Punk and Cody. It's going to be a lot of fun. The mid card right now, I think, is so interesting. And the tag team division is so much fun, especially on SmackDown. There's just so much good stuff going on. TNA, too, has been really good lately. And AEW, like, listen, they can't tell a story if they had the Magic School Bus guide in it.
No,
But like,
man, you could be like, Tony, read this right here.
You
but
know what's
in ring,
that oops, I'm wrong one. So my bad. I'm just
That's
gonna say
okay.
this. I'm like, I bash them because I want them to be good.
Me too.
Because they have all the time. Me and Chad argue all the time, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And like, dog, I was like, yeah, you got the ingredients, but you just don't do it. You don't put it together right. And like you say, can't tell a story, dude. It's
Can't
like,
tell a long form story if their life depended on it. Like, listen, if they want to pay me $500,000 a year and they give me 6 months to fix it, I could fix it. But
I know you could.
You could.
But because it's like you've got Kenny Omega, you got Will Ospreay, you got Moxley doing really good work as a heel. I mean, the guy's willing to have nails on his back.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you've got so many good workers. They've got the pieces to tell really good. You got MJF, you've got Hangman Page, you've got a great women's division, you've got an excellent tag team division if done properly. And it's just like there's no. I mean, and this is the thing too. Swerve is amazing. They've got so many.
Absolutely amazing.
Even the thing is too, you still have Jericho at a point where like he's still serviceable and he can still like lift up people. You cannot waste this time, you know.
Yeah.
And Tony, if you hear this
over there, man, it's an incoherent mess.
I'm here.
I actually stopped watching it. Like I seen bits and pieces. So after that CM Punk debacle or whatever, you know, I was like, this is it. I can't, because I was hanging in there because Chad said it best, man. It's so incoherent. But I was like, I'm still watch, I'm gonna support because it was good. It was decent enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then when it was like, you know, WrestleMania, what was it that weekend? WrestleMania, like, we're gonna show the tape of CM Punk. I'm like, this ain't gonna go good if it's a spoof or if it's real, and it's wound up being real.
Yeah.
After the fact that CM Punk said verbatim what the hell happened, and it's like,
so it's like he didn't. It's like he didn't lie. You guys just.
But it was like the Will Ringo thing. I don't know, like you heard about that, like, you know, the rumor of like when Will Ringo was there in AEW, and he wouldn't shake his hand because he's like, you're freaking stooge for fucking Triple H, bro. Fuck nah. And then like try to make CM Punk's like a villain, and then you heard about what Tony said about, you know, he was with his mom. That was when his mom was sick, and Ringo came to the hospital. Was like, I want to quit now. I go now, you know. And it was like, what? Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
listen, one of my best buds, Joakim Morales. He runs Battle Club Pro. It's an indie wrestling promotion in New York City, and it's just like I've been so many times. I've just been like listening to stories he's told me, and it just, when you run a company, you're not just like responsible for like the product that everyone sees. You're responsible for the way everyone interacts with one another. And sometimes you get like one or two people that have to be checked. And and listen, real talk, I'm sure you guys remember 3 years ago I did a podcast and I was with another person.
Yeah, I remember.
They had to be checked.
I remember.
It's just funny to me that it's just like you eliminate one person, and this is what happens when you're working with someone. And this isn't just about me. This is about anybody. If you got two people working together and then one person leaves, then you look at both of them and then you see what each of them do by themselves. And that's who you know who was right and who was wrong. So the thing is, in CM Punk's situation, he leaves AEW. And what's he doing now?
Money. He's making money.
Taking over the world.
I ain't tell you, my wife bought like the CM Punk action figure with the Larry action figure. Yeah.
And the thing is, it's just like, what is AEW? They said that he was like the cancer and they got rid of him. And they're kind of languishing. You know, I would argue that like TNA right now has the potential to like clearly to be a number 2 company.
Oh yeah,
within time, yes.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit more time, I believe.
So, and the thing is, that's the thing though too. Like I love AEW, and I watch it because I love the in-ring work, and I love how like 2 weeks ago I was so pissed off. 2 weeks ago.
Ooh. Why is that?
Please. Because Mike Bailey makes his debut, and those fans had no idea who he was.
Which I couldn't believe that, by the way. I'm
like, that's fucking speedball Mike Bailey. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's amazing. I could not believe I watched it and they were
Right.
just like,
Yeah.
the AEW crowd is so weird sometimes.
You could have heard a cockroach fart on his during his entrance.
It was
Damn,
so bad.
that's bad. Question: They ain't do no vignettes or nothing. Cause I told you I quit watching.
They talked him up when he came out.
Yeah.
They said he's a former.
Before that, did they even like do vignettes?
Oh no,
what?
no,
Dude, that's another
that's
problem
their
they
move.
have,
their
dude.
move.
But no, they did it for not AAA. What's the other one? CMLL. They did it for some of their wrestlers last year.
Yeah.
And that was good. That was good because that was one of the problems they had before. And I was like, oh, great. Yeah, you do that.
And that's where the word incoherent comes in.
Oh, my God.
It's so all over the place.
Dude, there's so Bully Ray, Jim Cornette, freaking, what's his name? Dutch Mantel. Hell, that's some podcasts I listen to who are fans. Like you got what the hell, PWT, you got fucking Wrestling Soup. These people are saying stuff. They're giving out the game for free. What the fuck? I'm passionate.
That's crazy. You know, it's just like I think like the last story from AEW, and that's not just because he's my buddy and I like him, but it's like the last story that I really liked from AEW was like probably like a month ago when they were trying to like push Jarrett to like win something before like when he announced that like this was like the end and like he's like not going to sign another contract, and he had that really good first back and forth with MJF. I'm like, okay, but then they didn't do anything with it, and I'm just like they don't commit long form. So it's just like I'll give you guys an example. Publishing wise, it's not like wrestling, but it's the same thing. So it's just like when we first released Brooklyn Bleeds, it didn't sell great, but I'm just like the art on the book is great and the story is great, and so like whenever I go to a con, I always have it like front and center. It's always like one of our good con books. It always does well at cons. So then I'm just like, every time I could get somebody to do a variant cover to try them out, I try them out on Brooklyn Bleeds because I have so much faith in that book. And then it's just like, we got the right person. We got like Mike LeMay to do that cover that I just showed you guys before. And the book sold a whole bunch of copies this month. So it's just like, if you believe in like what you're doing is good, you gotta keep going with it. Because sometimes people aren't going to bite first. It's like perfect example, Stone Cold.
Perfect example.
He wasn't completely over for like a good 6 to 8 months, you know, even after the Ringmaster. Like when he was in King of the Ring, he wasn't like the bona fide favorite to win that King of the Ring tournament. That was supposed to be the King of the Ring that Triple H won.
But the whole freaking
the DX thing when they hung in the ring.
They call it
the curtain call.
The curtain call. You right. It was,
and he made the most of that moment. So the thing is, it's just like they're not providing a lot of the talent with the moments that they need, you know. And it's just like, as much as I love Will Ospreay, he doesn't need to have a 20-minute match every episode of Dynamite. He's fantastic. The same thing. Orange Cassidy, love him. Doesn't need to work a half hour every Dynamite. It was just like during the Daniel Bryan, the Yes era, he was working like sometimes 2 matches a night on Raw. You don't need to do that anymore, you know, but you still need that commitment to long form storytelling. And I think like WWE gets it. But then the thing is, they give up on stuff too, like the Wyatt 6.
What the hell?
Oh my God. When I think of that, it makes me so.
Their debut was fantastic.
Right. Amazing.
It had all these people talking, and then you just pull the plug. I don't get it. Yeah. The Hurt Business. Same thing, you know, and now Tony's trying to cash in on the Hurt Syndicate and stuff like that. And I guarantee you the second that Cedric Alexander can pop over, he's gonna pop over to AEW. You know, but I miss long form storytelling, like what WCW did with Sting, where it was just like a year. He didn't wrestle for like a year. And it was just like vignette, and then like, oh, it's Sting up in the rafters and stuff. And they just played the long form storytelling for a long. And then like once he got back in the ring, it was just like, oh my God, like they don't do that anymore. I don't know why. And you know what it is? Maybe it's like just symptomatic of the audience, because again, too, the audience wants like viral moments. It's just like, man, I love oh my God, his name just Travis Scott. I love Travis Scott. People don't think that I like Travis Scott because I'm like a middle-aged white guy and stuff like that. But listen, I get it. He's badass. He's good at what he does. But it was just like, just because you show up with The Rock
Why are you here?
And you smoke pot like 2 weeks before on Raw, like they're looking for viral moments. When they get Speed,
Yeah.
poor Speed. Oh my God.
Wow.
This
Hey.
guy's just getting his ass kicked, for viral moments. That's what they want instead of like long
Oh my
form
God.
storytelling. So listen, and that's the thing though, as a comic book writer, that's like, for me, it's like, I tell my writers, I tell my artists, like, if we're doing like a 24-page comic, we're looking for like 5 or 6 instances where the reader is going, I'm going to keep an eye on that. I'm going to keep an eye on that. What is that? That's going to be important later, instead of just like looking for some big, it's like wrestling turned into like a Michael Bay movie instead of a Quentin Tarantino movie,
Explosions
Explosions,
explosions everywhere, but no story to be found.
And the fucked up part is like they got rid of Kevin Dunn, so like the cinematography and presentation is so much better. There's no more like quick camera cuts and stuff like that. I'm not having seizures while I watch wrestling anymore. It's like my poor son doesn't know if we're watching Pokemon or wrestling back in the day, like 2 years ago.
Shoot.
And now it's just the presentation is so much better. It feels so much more legit, but it's like there's not the Judgment Day stuff with Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley was well done, and I love watching Dominic Mysterio develop every week. He that's somebody that like
he has just become a monster, man. He is beyond talented. He's even a leader, like in the ring. Like you can watch him call matches and see the things that he's doing, man. It's pretty amazing to see him do this to where he was just Rey Mysterio's son.
Yep.
Like, that's essentially what he was. So it's pretty cool to see where he's at now. Another long form story. So I don't know if you see, but WWE basically has the Bloodline saga. So now that lets you know the Bloodline story is over now. Right. And the Bloodline saga is on YouTube. It's like 4 hours long.
Really?
So yeah, you can go and actually watch it, which I'm really thinking about doing. Because the Bloodline story is probably my favorite story in wrestling, like hands down.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Like I said, they don't have the commitment to long form storytelling because for the longest time that was the only story that they were telling.
Yeah.
And they did a fantastic job doing it, but it's just like after the Bloodline, what do they have? And like what else do they have? If you look at like every other era of the WWE, they had like 3 or 4 long form stories going. It's like WCW, you had the NWO, but then you had all this drama in the 4 Horsemen.
Yeah.
Right.
Arn Anderson getting hurt and Jarrett coming in and then Brian Pillman, and like they had all this drama in the 4 Horsemen. And then they always had a great story in the cruiserweight division. It was just like Dean Malenko versus like Chris Jericho, or Rey Mysterio Jr. versus Ultimo Dragon. Like you had great matches, but you had story that were bringing the two together. You had the Flock. Like they had other factions that were telling good stories and stuff like that. And like in WWE, you had DX, you had The Nation, you had all of these like long form stories being told alongside Stone Cold and Vince McMahon, and you had other characters being developed. It's just like right now, it's like it's Cody, and then there's like they're trying very hard with a lot of different angles. It's just like I thought the New Day's heel turn was wonderfully done, and that's kind of like what happened. Like they're not doing anything.
I forgot about that, dude. That's how they just dropped it, because they was like they did it
because they were just on Raw. They just had a match. I want to say this Monday.
Well, right.
Yeah. But at the same time, too, like no one cares about the LWO, and they just keep shoving the LWO down people's throats.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm sick of them and
they're great wrestlers, so it's just like put them all in singles or put them in tag.
Yeah.
Dragon Lee is amazing. Ray can still go. Like do something with them in singles, but it's just like, come on, like you're trying because they sell T-shirts.
Yeah.
So yeah, do I still watch wrestling?
Sounds like you do.
Yeah, I do.
Sounds like you watch it a little bit.
My poor wife.
Oh, so does she watch it or no?
She used to watch it a lot, but then she's like she's not into it nearly as much as she used to be for good reason, because like she remembers like AJ Lee's drama and Daniel Bryan's rise up against like Triple H and what's best for business and things like that. And she remembers like when NXT was really freaking good, 2013, 2014, 2015. Like that's the stuff that she was into, and it's just like it's not there right now. But
Okay.
I can't quit it. Like I don't do drugs. I've never drank. I've never smoked. But like wrestling, comic books, video games, like I need them. I need them.
Those are my vices too, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Those are my vices too.
For sure, understood.
Yeah, man. Well, we won't keep you too long, man. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, man.
We definitely got to have you on again when you got some more stuff coming out.
Sure.
Man, I'm telling you, you got to make some more video game comics.
Yes.
You have to.
Like I said, if we move enough copies of this bad boy, I'm going to give. We'll put it this way. Yeah. And this is the thing, anyone that orders Red Dead Revolver off of the site, like when you guys eventually post this, I'll sign their copy for free. I want to just because like again, I super believe in this. This is badass. Like, but if we can move enough of these, like that totally opens the floodgates to like what else could we do? Like I would even be open to going on the Legacy Facebook and being like, here's 20 games. Which one do you guys want to see immortalized like in a comic book? The development cycle. We could do, Chad, just for you, an ET.
I was just gonna say you have to do it because you believe in it so much,
man.
The way
we could totally do it.
Yeah, and you know what? That would actually be pretty fire, and I would buy it too. I would buy it.
So, so the thing is too, the other thing that I wanted to tell you guys, two quick things really. Like on my Facebook all the time, we're gonna start doing a lot of raffles for signed Funko because like I said, the demand for the signed Funko has been insane. We're talking like Dracula, Macho Man, Mean Gene, and all the Five Nights at Freddy Funko. Like people hit me up all the time. So just keep an eye out on that. If you guys follow me on Facebook, it's facebook.com, Patrick Hickey Jr. Tons of those. But then also too, I have a game that I did lead voiceover on that is coming out. Like it should be out in the next couple of weeks. It's called Short Stories in Scary Places. And it's a first person survival horror game. It's going to be on the Atari VCS and then eventually like Steam and like, you know, wherever else they can port it to. But like Tony Barnes developed it, and Tony Barnes did Medal of Honor on PS3. He did Strider on PS3. He did Buffy on Xbox. And he is like basically one of the co-creators of Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban Strike, Soviet Strike on the Sega Genesis. Tony Barnes is a rock star. So I do lead voiceover in that game, and then also it is my daughter's video game voiceover debut as well. So she's 8 years old and she's already written her own published comic and she's done voiceover in video games. So that's like my quest to like elevate my daughter into badassery mode.
You're doing well.
Trying, but bottom line is like indie creators live and die on like exposure. So if you guys like any of the stuff that I've done, just hit me up on Facebook and like hit up legacycomics.com/shop. We always have tons of great stuff. If you're into Five Nights at Freddy's, if you're into pro wrestling, if you're into Dracula, hit me up. I will sign and quote a Funko like I did Chica today, where I signed it and quoted it, and then on the corner I drew the cupcake and stuff like that. And like I'm having literally so much fun. But the only reason why I'm having fun is because people are supporting me and people actually like want to see my stuff. So until people are unwilling to see my stuff, I'm going to try and pump out as much cool shit as possible. So thank you guys for having me. And yeah, for anyone listening that's never experienced me before, like hit me up on social media. I don't bite. Comic books, video games, like voiceover. I'm trying to like affect as many people as possible by just doing as much cool stuff as possible.
Heck yeah.
Anything else you got going on? Because you always got like 12 different things before you go. Like you got anything else coming out or that you buy?
So like the books I showed you, I don't know if you guys know, but like we released Conjury 6 over the summer. And it's pretty badass. I'm super happy with it.
I love that cover.
Yeah, damn. It's badass. This is our urban variant. That's what I call it. But also too, I kind of hit like a sweet spot. So like any comic book writer that does like single issues will tell you like you don't really feel comfortable with your creations until you're able to like do an omnibus. So like I mean we have the Conjury omnibus is available now, and it's got like Conjury 0 through 5, and then all the side stories in it. It's like 185 pages. I mean, like guys, come on, like we crushed it. It's got so much cool stuff in it. So if you've never experienced any of my stuff before, this is a great place to start, and this is available on legacycomics.com. It's also available on Amazon, but get it direct. Get it directly from me, so I could sign it and just experience my stuff. I'm just a Google search away. I've done a lot of cool, fun stuff, and I want to just be able to tell stories that affect people. And I really do think between like Condry, The Job, Brooklyn Bleeds, the minds behind the games, then all the voiceover, that I'm like leaving a little bit of a blueprint for like the cool stuff that I've done. So yeah.
Okay. I have one last question.
Yeah, man. You could ask as many questions as you want.
So, thank you. So you said your daughter, did she come to you and say, "Hey, Dad, I want to make my own comic. I have my story. What do you think?" How did that come about?
Oh, so this is a crazy story. So what ended up happening was we moved from Brooklyn to Staten Island. So it's probably like a 20-minute drive. But Brooklyn is very urban and Staten Island is very suburban.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we moved in like July, and there's no school, and she didn't have like any new friends or anything like that. So she was like kind of lonely. And it was hitting me hard. So like she was going to camp and stuff like that, but like she was coming home and she was just like, she didn't have, like, her cousin lived in the house that we used to live in, and they used to play together like every day. And, you know, she was just like missing that like companionship. And she saw me, and I was working on a ton of stuff that summer. And it was the summer of 2023. And she was like, "You think I could write a comic book?" And I was slammed. I had so much stuff to do. And I was like, "All right, listen, this is what we're going to do." And I grabbed 3 pieces of paper and I folded them in half. And I wrote like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the 3 pieces of paper. And I was like, "I want you to tell me a story that has a clear beginning, middle, and end. I'll give you 6 pages in a comic book. If you write it and it makes sense, I'll find an artist for you." And she just went like that. And she comes back like 2 hours later, and she's like, "I want to tell the story of how I wanted to be a big sister, and that I asked you and mommy for a baby brother, and you guys said you didn't know, and that like da 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 da. And then I saw a ladybug on my window, and I asked the ladybug to bring me a brother, and then like the next day you guys told me that you were having a baby." And I was just like,
wow. Kids.
And people don't believe me when they say, when I tell them that at 6 years old she wrote the story. And the thing is, she wrote all of the plot for the story, and then basically what I did was I cleaned it up and I added some dialogue and talked her through some of the stuff, and was just like, "Well, what if we do this here?" And she's like, "Well, what if we do that?" And blah blah blah, blah. And we plotted out the whole thing together. But she wrote it, and then we got Joshua Adams, who did the art. And we released it in December of 2023. It wasn't like formally released until like January of 2024, but like it sold out. It's print run. And then we also did is this it right here? No, crap, I don't know where it is. But we do trading card. I'll show you guys. We do comic book. I'm not sure if I showed you guys these before, but we do.
Oh yeah,
this looks like a trading card.
Yeah,
sure. And then in the back, you've got a QR code. And you scan the QR code, and you can read the comic on your phone. So we did a run of the cards for her too, and it's just like this month alone, she sold like 100 of them. You know,
wow.
So it's just like my wife goes online and puts her on camera, and she talks about her comics, and then I announced it, and like she has been a little like tour de force. Like she gets a royalty. She makes the same amount of money on her comics that I make on my comics. I signed her. She signed a contract. The whole 9 yards. She has a Hello Kitty like gamer chair in her room.
Yeah.
That she paid for with her royalties.
Oh, that's nice.
She has like all this, like, she's such a little diva. She has like all of her skincare products and stuff like that like I would never pay for, like $25 lotion and stuff that she's like, "I have my royalty, so I want to go to Bed Bath and Body or whatever." And she came to me like a month ago, and she's just like, "Yo, Daddy, I think I want to write another comic." And I'm like, okay. I'm like, "So I gave you 6 pages last time. I'll give you 8 pages for this one." And she's just like, well, I only want to do it like if Josh wants to do it because that's the only artist that I want to work with, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, oh my god, she sounds
You
like
got a diva on your head.
You said it. You got a diva,
You
dude.
got a diva.
Yeah, you got a diva, dude.
You know, because it's like I remember too at one point, I was showing her some of the people that wanted to do variant covers for her for the first book, and she was just like, nope, I don't like it.
Oh.
And I was like, well, this guy has like 8,000 followers on Facebook and we could move some of those books. And she's just like, well, I don't like it. So he's not doing it.
Dang.
Excuse me, princess.
And I'm like, just damn. So then I was just like, we ended up doing a variant. We did a variant of the book where it was in black and white and kids could actually color in the cover.
Smart. That's smart.
And she ended up liking that. So, but she's like, it was completely her idea. And the thing is, like, I'm super lucky because, like, what is it? April 24th, I think, is Bring Your Daughter to Work Day.
Okay.
And I don't have work that day, and my daughter is insisting on me taking her to my college that I work at because she just wants to see where I work and stuff like that. Like, she's totally, like, she's like a really special kid, and I know a lot of parents say that about their kids, but she's like just super special. She's got a good head on her shoulders. She says she has stayed super strong over the past 14 months. Like, she watched her mom like go through a lot emotionally and physically, and she stayed so strong. I'm so proud of her. And the thing is too, I've met and this is real talk, and I apologize if I'm rambling, but I've met so many people and this is about you guys too, so many people in comics and video games and podcasting that start off hot and then just die out and you never hear from them again. And it's just like, for her to like do this comic and then sell well and then want to do another one, to me is like, she's trying to be consistent. And I think that's like the best way to be. So it's just like, I look at you guys where like I put a flyer out on you guys. I messaged you guys like 3-4 years ago. And I was just like, I want to be on your show because I really like your show because you guys are fun and energetic and passionate and knowledgeable. And now I see you guys interviewing all these great voice actors and doing cons and stuff. And I'm like, they're doing it right. Like, Thank you very much. But it's the truth. It's the truth, you know? So it's just like, you try and set an example for other people to follow. And I'm not talking about myself, like with you guys, because you guys are on your own path. You guys are crushing it on your own. But like with my kids, I try and very hard to like have them see. I want them to see me writing. I want them to see me emailing students at all times of the day because I care about them and I want them to succeed. And I want my kids to see how mad I get when I see people saying things like ET is not a good game.
Oh yeah, that's what we're doing today.
No. But you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I'm super proud of the little girl that she's becoming. So yeah.
Yeah. Man, you're doing a great job.
I'm trying.
Hey, we're proud of you over here on the Fusion.
Thank you. I'm proud of you guys too. I want to just say too, because we haven't had a chance to talk about it. Oh my God, you guys sending me Metroid Dread was probably like one of like the nicest things that like anyone has like ever done for me. The fact that like I just threw it up on there, like I'm just like, yeah, man, I really wanted to try that game and I just have like no life and I've never been able to play it. Blah blah blah. The last thing I expected was to get a package. Like I opened it and I was like, like people act, because that's the thing too. It's just like I post a lot on social media because it's all about like the algorithm and trying to like get to as many people. And like I get like views on my Facebook. I get anywhere from like 800,000 to like 1.2 million a month on my Facebook page, all across the world and stuff like that. But how many of those people buy comics off of me or support me? A very small fraction, like 1%. You know. So to have somebody like actually, like you guys, actually pay attention to something that I say and to do something like that, like you guys are awesome. So
no problem, man. I saw it, I was like, I got my guy, man. You've done so much for us, man.
And it's awesome too, by the way. I just want to say, like, oh my God, it's awesome. It's an awesome game. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's actually one of the few Metro games I've really enjoyed. I don't think Metro is bad.
No,
maybe just one of those things that it's not like necessarily my favorite thing, but I can respect like how good it is.
It's just a return back to the Metroid that I liked as a kid. Because like I like the first person Metroids, and like I've interviewed the developers for my books. But Metroid to me is like it's not a first person game. It's just like Metroid for me is like Castlevania, Metroid, Wonder Boy, all those Ninja Gaiden to an extent, minus the beat 'em up stuff. It's just like a thinking man's like side scroller where there's like you've got to just stay and
Yeah.
So Dread has so much of that going for it. I love it.
Good.
Yeah.
Happy you liked it.
Thank you, sir. Gentleman and a scholar.
Nah.
Yes, he
Nah.
is.
But yeah, man. Well, we'll let you get back to your family, Patrick. Man, thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank you.
hanging out with your Houston family.
Absolutely.
Next time you're in
Absolutely.
Houston, come see us.
I need to get to Houston soon. I'm
Yeah,
telling
you
you.
need to come to some of the cons out here, man. We
That's,
have a lot
yeah,
of cons.
I gotta talk to some of the cons out there. That's the thing. Like and especially now I got a little bit more clout because of the Five Nights at Freddy
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm definitely down to do panels and stuff like that. So if you guys are ever doing a con too, and they're looking for somebody to do a panel or whatever, I am totally down. That's like one of the, I'm happy that my wife is getting better now, because it's just like for the past like year I haven't really been able to do cons because I wanted to stay home. But like I'm totally open. Like in the next within the next 2 months, I'm gonna start gearing up and start doing a lot of cons again. So yeah, man.
Okay.
One day, fingers crossed.
One day, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I had to look. I'm like, who said that?
Yeah.
I forgot we got a top-notch voice actor over here. But yeah, man, we'll go ahead and end this thing. I'm Chad.
And I'm Jeremy.
And this is the GOAT right here, Patrick Hickey Jr.
Yes, sir.
And we're the Fusion High Podcast, and we're out this thing.
Hi.